We're back with a gentleman who you may not recognize when you see his face, but you sure will know one of his many voices, and that is one is of this little guy, Papa Smurf. How does he talk, Don?
Well, now, actually, that isn't Papa
That's
Smurf.
not Papa. Okay.
Papa Smurf speaks like that. But that little fella would more or less have a voice like that. That's probably Dreamy, which is another Smurf that I do.
Don Messick, it's nice to see you.
Thank you.
You not only do the Smurfs, you do, well, in fact, you work for Hanna-Barbera, who
Yes.
does how many different cartoons?
Oh, it's in the hundreds. I've been working for them ever since they started their own company 25 years ago.
And you do Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I'm Scooby too.
I hope my boy's watching. He'll flip out. We're going to have you call him up today and say something to him.
Okay.
But he wasn't home.
Oh.
But the Scooby-Doo, the Yogi, and
Well,
you
I do Boo Boo and the Ranger on the Yogi Bear show. And we still do specials every now and then, a Christmas special usually every year.
Does your family want you to do voices? Whenever there's a family get-together, they ask Uncle Don to do some voices?
No, we're so spread all over the country that it doesn't quite work out that way.
Now, when you took over the voice of the Smurfs, when you started the voice of Papa Smurf, probably never knew it was going to be as successful as it has been.
No, not really. We're going into our third year now, and it's really sort of swept the country like wildfire.
Now, is Scooby-Doo, that is also still in production?
It is. We're going to be doing more for next season, and it will be its 14th year.
How do you keep all the voices straight? Do you have to listen to them back?
No, only if it's a one-shot thing that you've done several months ago. But once you get into the role of doing the character, episode after episode, you don't forget. You keep them all together.
Does he ever worry about becoming a multiple personality? I mean, do you
I was
ever
going
get
to say,
concerned
yes,
about...
I have often referred to it as a sort of controlled schizophrenia.
Yes, I mean,
So-
absolutely. Do they ever fight with each other? You know, I mean, one of them
Yes.
battles it out. Who wins?
Well, I started as a ventriloquist, so you see that's how that all came about.
Learning to talk without too much action.
And let's have the microphone talk. Hello?
Hello, hello.
Okay.
You did the voice of Bam Bam in the Flintstones.
Yes, that's right.
Bam, bam. Oh, go to pick.
That's about the extent of his dialogue, was that.
Do you have to audition with the people at Hanna-Barbera for the voices?
Mhm.
Or do you come up with suggestions for them?
Well,
I mean,
both
after all
ways.
these years,
I still audition, and it's mainly the network executives who are in on the final decisions. But, yes, you audition for those
actresses in there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes. Audition just like any other acting job.
No kidding.
but you basically, I mean, you create the voice.
Well, they tell you what they have in mind, and then they also accept your own ideas after you've put something on tape. So you have 3 or 4 takes, and then it's all boiled down to the final decision by the network people, those in charge, the authorities there.
You know, my wife 10 years ago went for an audition in Hanna-Barbera and didn't make it, man.
Well, I'll speak to them about that.
There's a wonderful plot that's brewing right here. Remember Gaslight, that George Brent film? Can you imagine what he could do to his wife? Do you know that he could drive her absolutely mad? I mean, it wouldn't take... He could do it, one person. He could fill up a cast of characters, tell her that she was hearing things and voices, and of course she would be. And she would never know... I mean, does she ever get... Do you ever play little pranks like that? You know?
No.
Never?
No.
Is that kind of part of the agreement?
It would be kind of hard to be haunted by the voice of Bam Bam.
Well, but I'm sure he could conjure up a few, you know, like when she's taking a shower and the door is closed and...
Scary
Can you
voices.
just imagine?
Oh, honey, this is your little boo-boo.
Now, that's not super scary.
What about people that would take your voices and imitate them? And say,
That's not nice.
No, it's not nice, but do you think about that that could happen?
Fortunately, most of the things that I do aren't too easily copied by others. Most of the actors in this business who do cartoon voices are or have been impersonators as well. So many of the characters have been based on an identifiable voice that's already established in the public mind. But that's not my bag. I'm not knocking it, but I just didn't go that route. And so all of my voices are fairly original, I think.
Like Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
And,
Yeah, and Scrappy, his little nephew.
with one exception, there was a series called The Drac Pack a couple of seasons back.
And I was told one of the henchmen to the villain, and of course, that's a very familiar type of voice.
The old Peter Lorre thing.
Lorre, sure.
But I enjoyed that.
Yeah. What age did you realize that you could do all this stuff?
About 12 and a half, my voice started
to change, and I discovered I had a second voice, and so I figured I might as well do something constructive with it. So I learned to talk without too much look action.
you know, the ventriloquist bit.
How do you maintain your own mental stability doing those kinds of things? You ever look in the mirror and says, I'm crazy?
You know, this guy's been with me for 5 minutes and already taken over my job.
But I'm wondering, you know.
Freezing Koto.
I would think, you know, because acting, playing roles, you know, it takes me like a week or two
to come down from the role.
to come out of the character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, you ever try to figure out who am I and stuff like that?
No, very often I'm doing 3, 4, even 6 characters in a single script, and they're playing opposite each other.
But when you go to the bank, you don't make a mistake and say to the teller, can I have her?
Wait, do that again.
Only by request.
That's a good question, though, because especially if you do all the characters in one show, or I guess you're asking and answering your own questions.
But the signature on the check back at the teller's window has always got to be the same.
I see.
I can't sign it Scooby-Doo or Papa Smurf or Azrael, which is the villain's cat, Gargamel's cat on the Smurfs. Another of my favorites.
You obviously had done straight announcing. I mean, you got a great voice.
You know, that was
straight voice.
Thank you, my earliest ambition, but I never did. 2 or 3 times I was almost hired as a staff announcer for a radio station in Hollywood and Baltimore and so forth. But at the last minute, something always happened to pull me out of town, back to New York or to Hollywood. And so, no, I never have.
No kidding. It would seem to me that that's where it all began for you.
That's what I
You could
really
make a
want.
living at it
Right.
easily. Are you a fan of Mel Blanc's?
Oh, yes, I've worked with Mel many times. He's wonderful. Well, in fact, I was his adopted son on the Flintstones. Barney Rubble, Bam Bam was their little boy. And then we did a series some years ago called Ricochet Rabbit. I was Sheriff,
Bing, bing, bing! Ricochet Rabbit, at your service.
and he was my sidekick, Deputy Droop-Along Coyote.
We have a clip from the Smurfs,
Huh.
and now we're going to see the characters do the voice of Don.
No.
There's a line in there where they're watching the Flintstones, and I don't know who does the Barney Rubble voice.
Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc does.
Yes.
There's a line in there, the guy's sitting there drinking a beer watching the Flintstones, and he says to his buddy, he says, "Well, that Barney Rubble's a hell of an actor." Stay with us, okay?
All right.
All right, Don, thank you. We'll be back with Linda Hirsch, a soap opera columnist, talking about what else but soap operas.